There once lived a man named Job. He was not a king. He was not a prophet. He was simply a man who feared God and lived uprightly. Job lived in the land of Uz, and his life was full. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. Servants filled his household, and his name was respected among the people of the East. But more than his wealth, Job was known for something greater. He feared God, and he turned away from evil. Every time his children gathered for feasting, Job would rise early the next morning. He would offer sacrifices for each of them, praying quietly in his heart. It may be, Job would say to himself, that my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. So Job prayed, again and again, not because disaster had struck, but because faith mattered more than comfort. And then, a conversation took place that Job never heard, in the heavenly realm. The sons of God presented themselves before the Lord. Among them was Satan. The Lord spoke first. Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a blameless, upright, fearing God, and turning away from evil. Satan answered coldly, Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him, his household, and everything he owns? But stretch out your hand and strike all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. The Lord replied, Very well. Everything he has is in your power, but the man himself you must not touch. And so the test began. Back on earth, Job's day began like any other, until a messenger came running. Disaster, he cried. The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing when raiders attacked. They killed the servants and took everything. I alone escaped to tell you. Before Job could speak, another arrived. Fire fell from the sky, he said, trembling. It burned up the sheep and the servants. I am the only one left. Then another. The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties. They took the camels and killed the servants. Job's heart raced. And then came the final messenger. Your sons and daughters were feasting. When a mighty wind struck the house, it collapsed. They are all gone. Silence fell. The weight of the words crushed the air around him. In one day, Job lost everything, his wealth, his servants, his children. Job stood still. Then he tore his robe, he shaved his head, and he fell to the ground. But he did not curse God. Instead, Job worshipped. Naked I came from my mother's womb, he said, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And in all this, Job did not sin. But the test was not finished. Once again, Satan stood before God. Skin for skin, he said. A man will give everything for his life. Strike his flesh, and he will curse you. The Lord answered, He is in your power. But spare his life. Soon after, Job was struck with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. He sat among ashes, scraping his skin with broken pottery. His body broken, his strength gone. Then his wife spoke. Are you still holding on to your integrity? She asked bitterly. Curse God and die. Job looked at her not in anger, but in grief. You speak as a foolish woman, he said. Shall we accept good from God, and not trouble? And still, Job did not sin with his lips. 3 friends heard of Job's suffering: Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. They came to comfort him. But when they saw him from a distance, they barely recognized him. They wept. They tore their robes. They sat with him on the ground. 7 days. 7 nights. No one spoke a word, because Job's pain was very great. Finally, Job broke the silence. He did not curse God, but he cursed the day he was born. Why did I not perish at birth? He cried. Why is life given to those in misery? His friends began to speak, but their words wounded more than they healed. They told Job that suffering must mean sin. That pain was proof of guilt. That God only punishes the wicked. Again and again, Job defended himself. I am innocent, he said. I have walked uprightly. I cry out to God, but he does not answer. Job did not understand. He searched his heart. He searched his past, but found no hidden crime deserving such suffering. Though he slay me, Job declared, yet will I trust him. But the silence from heaven was heavy. Job pleaded, "Oh, that I could speak to God," he said, "that he would explain himself." And then God answered, not softly, not gently, out of a whirlwind. "Who is this," the Lord said, "that darkens my counsel with words without knowledge? Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you understand." God did not explain Job's suffering. He revealed his greatness. "Have you commanded the morning? Do you know the paths of the sea? Can you bind the stars?" Question after question poured out like thunder. Job was silent. Then God spoke again. "Will you discredit my justice? Will you condemn me to justify yourself?" Job's strength failed him. He replied softly, "Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know." "I had heard of you," Job said, "but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore, I repent in dust and ashes." Then the Lord turned to Job's friends. "My anger burns against you," he said, "because you have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has." God told them to offer sacrifices, and Job prayed for them. And when Job prayed for those who had accused him, the Lord restored his fortunes. Not little by little, fully. Job received twice as much as he had before. More livestock. More wealth. And God gave him 7 sons and 3 daughters, once again, the most beautiful in the land. Job lived a long life. He saw his children and grandchildren to the 4th generation. And then he died old and full of days. The story of Job is not about why good people suffer. It is about trusting God when answers never come. It is about faith that survives silence, worship that survives loss, and hope that survives pain. Because sometimes, God does not remove the storm. He reveals himself in it.